Hi everyone, Mike here with you guys once again, and it is time for my review of PlayStation VR. Finally got a headset. I didn't do an unboxing because I got it used, but I finally got my hands on the PSVR headset, and I gotta say, VR is incredible. What VR has done, what Sony has done with PlayStation VR, is the theme park experience is starting to show up in your bedroom. So you can have experiences that you would have to drive hours for, depending on where you live. You know, with me, I would have to drive at least a couple hours to go to my nearest theme park. I can get a similar experience, not the same type of experiences, but I'm starting to get a similar experience, and in some ways it even surpasses what I've seen in theme parks. In my bedroom. That alone is incredible. What Sony has done with this thing, and this is a low-end VR system, this isn't even the best of the bunch. But I was still blown away by what I saw. Talking about some of the games, some of the games I was really blown away by was Moss. And by the way, not only is VR great for first person, it also works well in third person because it's like having a miniature or a toy that you can control in real time. I honestly think the toys to life genre shouldn't have. I think it came too soon, because now that home VR is a thing, I think the toys to life genre has something can utilize that and really take advantage of the technology, because when you play a third-person game in VR, it's like a little action figure you control. It's right there, right in front of your eyes. It's amazing. So Moss is a good example of stuff I was blown away by. Ocean Descent. That Ocean Descent is something I would have waited in line for 3 hours for, and I can do it in my room now. London Heist is another fantastic experience. By the way, London Heist and Ocean Descent are part of VR Worlds, and those are really the only two you really need to experience from VR Worlds. But London Heist it really strokes your ego, makes you feel like a badass. Like the way, my favorite sequence was the driving sequence, and which you're shooting enemies while on a vehicle, and while you're just wrecking everybody. The driver, who when you look at and he's talking to you, it's really immersive. He goes, "You're ruthless," and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah. So the game really strokes your ego, but it's like being inside of an R-rated action film. Being inside one. You're not just playing it; you're in it. And I will say this for London Heist: even though you can use a controller, you can use a DualShock 4. It's possible, but I would recommend, if you can, to get the motion controllers, the Move. That way you can sort of dual wield, and it's just more optimized for that type of experience. Some games you need the motion controls for, and I don't have those yet. I plan on getting them so I can get Rick and Morty and Batman, because I want to play those. Yeah, it's recommended that you get a lot of space, but I don't have a lot of space, and I was able to use it. I had to sit on the floor, it said I had to sit on the floor, but I actually was able to watch movies in my bed. And that leads to another thing I really liked, was the cinema mode. It's like being at the movies. I watched The Dark Knight Rises on it. I also played a couple of regular games on it. My only gripe with cinema mode is that when I was playing The Last of Us, the screen kept going to my left. No matter what, even if I was still, the screen would quickly move to my left. I don't know if my camera's right or what. But the thing was, it only happened with that. It didn't happen with any other time I used cinema mode. It only happened with The Last of Us. But with, I would watch trailers and movie theater policy bumpers, and really, it looks like I'm at the theater, and I don't have the burden of having to drive home. Like, normally I'm at the theater, I'm like, this is awesome, but I don't want to drive home. I can't wait to be in my room. I'm already in my room. So that's another benefit to VR. Also, VR works very well with VR-centric documentaries and presentation shows that that utilize the technology. So it's not just for gaming; it can be used for a new type of filmmaking. It kind of reminded me of Mosey Max. I used to go to Mosey Max back in the '90s, so there were some documentaries on there that kind of reminded me of that, because the narration was done where you had to look to find where the narration was so you could read it, and it reminded me of Mosey Max. Also, I really liked Invasion. It's a VR experience where you're a bunny and there's a bunny in it. I had to get it because bunny. Sweet. Yeah, bun. I also really liked Until Dawn's Rush of Blood. I only have the demo, but you know how Revenge of the Mummy is like a dark ride in a roller coaster? It's that, but with shooting in a haunted house. It's basically adding guns to that type of ride mechanic. So they could easily make this into a real ride. All you need to do is build a physical form of it, and you don't even have to build what's inside, because all you really need is to wear VR headsets to wear, because it is... Let me tell you about horror games in VR. They are extremely terrifying. There's no way I can go back to watching a horror movie now, because you gotta be in it to experience true fear. If you, like, Here They Lie, which was a game that I didn't like when I was playing it on my TV, when I played that in VR, that made the experience so much better. So even though the game mechanics I still being critical of, because there's no way you can defend yourself from the monsters, there's no way you can hide, there's no way you can fight. All you can, and they can stick up behind you, it's you're basically luck. You better hope they just don't see you, which is kind of impossible. Frustrating game mechanic, but the environments are so surreal. So when you put a VR headset on, and you're in it, it really is extremely terrifying. So horror in VR is just is too intense. It really is, but that's what makes it awesome. I can't handle it, but it's awesome. All right, let's see what else. There's a demo I played. I think it's called Headmaster, and it's kind of like a casual arcadey type of. You hit your head when the ball comes at you. You use your head to hit the ball, and it goes into the goalie, and you get points. But there's a Portal-esque / Stanley Parable-esque type of presentation that goes on while you're doing it. So it's a cross between an arcade game and a show. All these experiences are just like, they're theme park quality, and it's like I have a theme park in these goggles, in my head, in my room, movie theater, in my head, in my room. That's amazing. And I gotta say, even though VR is still considered niche, most people don't know this, but you can get a PlayStation VR headset for $200 new online. I got it used because I went to GameStop because I wanted to buy. I didn't want to wait online. And but if you have a PS4 already, and you still kept your camera, I got a camera for live streaming purposes. If you have those things already, $200 for VR, it's a no-brainer at this point. It's time to pick it up. If you haven't picked up PlayStation VR, now is the time to do it. It is half off the original price, and I gotta say, you need to experience it for yourself. You really ought to. Now is the time. Some of you might be waiting because the PS5 is going to come out and it's supposed to have better VR, which is fine. It's good, but there's no reason not to jump on it now. You've got to try this. I've been telling everybody I know about it and going, you got to experience this. You got to experience this. So thumbs way up for the technology for the PlayStation VR. I'm trying to think if there are any more experiences I need to talk about. There is one game I would suggest you don't get, and that is The Inpatient. Because The Inpatient, despite having some really some brief, terrifying moments, they're brief. And the second half is really boring, so I would not recommend you pick that one up. Definitely, if you're a fan of horror, I would get like Rush of Blood, Resident Evil 7. I would even pick Here They Lie over The Inpatient because of the scare factor of it. Anyways, that's all I got to say for now. And also, as far as dizziness and nausea and all of that, I didn't experience any nausea, and the dizziness was so mild. and I felt a brief, mild dizziness, or not dizziness, just vertigo. Just sort of weird feeling in my head when I took it off. But that was only after I took it off, and it was so mild that I was fine. So I was able to handle it pretty well, and I played all the demos. I played stuff. I was playing the demo for Rez, and it goes all over the place, and I loved it. So, but then again, I've been on Mission Space at Epcot, so VR is nothing compared to that. Anyways, that's all I got to say for now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in a future video. Bye.